Welcome to an off-site episode of Kurtzky's Garage, the Garage of the North, and I am here looking at, well, you can see these are obviously not cars, these are tractors, but that does not mean the individual who has collected these has any less passion. I assure you he doesn't, and he's got a Model T. We're going to go for a ride after we do this little discussion of Tractor Haven. And to that end, I'd like to welcome my good friend Jeff. Jeff, come on in. Jeff, thank you so much for...
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, this is awesome. I have not seen this collection before, and I'm just totally blown away with I guess what, the quality, the quantity,
right,
but certainly the quality of everything here. Now,
it's a passion for sure. That's all you can say. It's a passion.
And we all seem to be bitten by that, so yes. I totally get it.
Yeah.
So most people may not understand, especially car people, may not understand that there is an avid community of people who collect tractors and farm equipment and whatnot. Tell us a little bit about that, and then how the bug bit you.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, there's a huge following for tractors. It's interesting. There are a lot of shows around. I used to routinely go to 3 to 5 shows every season. So I would haul a lot of these tractors, 10 or 12 tractors to one of the shows, 5 to another show. And you meet with people of like mind. Mm-hmm. And everybody shared the same passion for these things, and it became like electric, you know? That
sure.
Spark between you. My passion started when I was young because my grandfather farmed with 2 of these tractors that are here today. His twin brother farmed with another one on the other side. And so as a little kid, there's pictures of me riding in his arms on the one tractor over here as an infant. And it was just always what we did. We always dug in and helped on the farm. So riding these and using them was something you learned very early in life, and the sounds, the smells,
yep.
And the family times that you remember with these, and that just ignited the spark that has turned into a raging wildfire.
I would guess so. I mean, look around.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how the inanimate object, and we talked a little bit about this with the Model T, the inanimate object sort of captures the essence of all the people around it. And it's that cue to remember important people in your life, because you know there were people very close to you. We're close to a highway, it's all right. But there were people very close to you, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment or two, that had some of these very pieces of equipment.
Right.
And it's a way to sort of hold on to those wonderful memories.
Yeah, that's what I have. I have such memories with almost every one of these pieces. I can remember the people riding them and conversations, and it's when I come in here sometimes late at night, turn the lights on and just look around, I could just walk around and just ponder for a long time.
It's interesting too how I think we all have those spots. You know, for my fiance, it's her garden,
yes.
And when she's there, that's her quiet space.
Yeah.
That's where she goes to do that. And I think for many guys, it's when they're surrounded by these things.
That's true. It's our peaceful place to be.
It is. It's fabulous. You have some really important ones, and I want to capture some additional footage.
Great.
So let's take a sec. We're going to regroup, move the camera over there, and we're going to hear some stories about 3? Is it 3 really important ones?
3 that are very important. Yeah, they all have a story, but 3 are very important. Okay,
don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a second. We're going to hear 3 very important stories, and then we're going for a ride in a Model T. Stay. Don't go anywhere. Okay, we have reframed. In live time we did this. No expenses spared at Kurtzky's Garage, even when we're off site at Jeff's garage. Jeff, tell us about this tractor, please.
Yeah, this would be one of my more special tractors. This is my very first tractor. When I turned 16, my dream was to have my own. I had saved up, I think, if I remember right, about $600, cutting lawns and whatever I was doing back then. And I bought this wreck of a tractor, which back then in I'm trying to remember what year it was 94 or 95. It had been sitting in a barn for many years, unused, rusty, seized motor. And this is a 1951 Farmall H. Okay. So this tractor, the tires were bad, everything was bad on it, and we got it out. I bought it for $300.
Oh, wow.
So then I had $300 to restore it with. And so as you know, that doesn't go very far. So I kept cutting lawns, and I had it for a number of years, and I was able to get it painted, fixed up. We got the engine rebuilt, and then over time I put new tires and rims on it, wheel weights. And it's a very special tractor, not because it's rare, because Farmall H's, there were, I think, about 400,000 of them produced.
Oh, wow.
So they were a high production model, but this one is special because I bought it from the original owner's son, and it was just near here, down at a place called Crown Hill near Barrie.
Yep, know it well.
It had farmed there all of its life. This one has an interesting little history. It had been rolled, according to the farmer that I bought it from, 3 times
Oh, wow.
in its existence, because with the narrow front end, if you turn too sharp or you get too close to the ditch, it'll just go on you.
Right.
And he told me one time he had to bail off the back really quick as it was going over, crunch the exhaust, crunch the hood, the steering, had to have all that rebuilt. But that had happened 3 times in its existence. So I sold this when my kids were young, because diapers are expensive. And I was lucky enough to be able to buy it back just recently.
Oh, very good.
It won't be leaving again.
Good for you. Yeah, I can see there's obviously no roll bar, safety hoop, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, you'd have to move quickly if things went a little
Really
pear-shaped.
quickly. It's interesting, even the seat spring is so primitive. You know, and if this gets out of line, and it'll come off like a shot too, because it's under a lot of tension. So it's an interesting tractor, but it's so much fun to drive, and they'll turn on a dime.
Oh, I bet.
With the narrow front end.
So basically, like OSHA rules, not so much during this time. But you did get it looks like
It has a hydraulic shock absorber, and that was factory back then. This was high tech, because the earlier Farmall H's from 1939 when production started until the last one in 1952, the earlier ones didn't have the hydraulic shock. They were much more primitive, and you felt every bump in the field.
Sort of equivalent to a Harley Davidson, a hardtail. That's right. Very much so.
That's right.
So I'm curious, and maybe a lot of people out there watching this may not be too well versed in the types of engines that are in these. Are these conventional gas, or are they diesel, or?
So all of these earlier ones are gas engines. These 2 are 4-cylinder, carbureted, and they're very basic. My grandfather's tractor is 6-cylinder, so, but most of them were 4-cylinder. They're all 6-volt systems. They have headlights, but the headlights, I mean, you could hold up your iPhone light and get better light from it nowadays. But it served the purpose back then, and you know, it was better than a team of horses could do.
Well, of course. So in terms of the power output, would you know the horsepower on these?
I think it's somewhere around 18 or 19 horsepower, I think. These weren't a huge amount of horsepower. It could be early 20s, but it wasn't much.
Okay.
They didn't need a whole lot back then. They had immense torque. This back end is a massive amount of gears under the seating platform.
Right.
And when I was young, I used to take this to the local fair and do tractor pulls with it. And you know, if you got it in the right gear, it would just start to stand up as you go down the track. The front end would just start to come up, and it would bear in with the back end.
Yep.
And it was so much fun.
So in terms of transmission, single speed each direction?
No, this tractor has 5 forward and 1 reverse speeds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this tractor will really move in 5th gear down the road very quickly.
Okay.
Which isn't a great thing all the time for 2 reasons. One is with the narrow front end, it starts to shimmy, and then you can lose control.
Okay.
The other thing is, a lot of these earlier tractors that were produced during the Second World War didn't come equipped with rubber tires, because rubber was an expensive option, and wartime effort needed to have the rubber.
Yep.
So a lot of these tractors went back to steel wheel, and with the big cleats.
Yes.
And they would actually, because that would be a dangerous feat to put it in 5th gear with steel wheels, they actually blocked out in the transmission the 5th gear, so you couldn't go above 4. This one does have 5, and it will move down the road pretty quickly.
Nice. And at the risk of stating the obvious, the narrow positioning of the front wheels, that would basically be so you could drive the tractor in between lines of crop.
That's right. And then there were often belly scufflers, cultivators underneath the center, and you would have a good view of what you were doing going through the field. And then of course it was called Farmall because it would farm all. And that was, you could hook up a baler to it, or a rake.
Power takeoff.
Power takeoff. And then you could put a scuffler under the middle, and there were actually loaders made for these, which were huge, big, cumbersome things. But I've had a couple of those over the years, but they're a lot of fun.
Very good. Okay, we're going to take just a sec to reframe. Don't go anywhere. We've got another very special Farmall and an Oliver Standard. So give us a sec, we're going to reframe. We'll be back and we'll keep talking tractors with my good friend Jeff. Jeff, we've moved 5 feet over.
That's right.
Now tell us about this tractor. It looks to the untrained eye to be a little bit smaller, but I'm sure that does not mean it's any less mighty.
So this is a 1950, so it's 1 year older than the last one we just talked about. This is a Farmall C, and this belonged to my father, and so he had bought it from the original owner.
Oh wow.
The original owner, I just looked it up recently, he passed back in the 90s, but he was born in 1906. So when you think about the history of something like this,
yes,
he used this until the 1980s or 90s, early 90s, in his garden near Coldwater, and it was, you know, in decent but certainly not pristine condition. My dad bought it in, I believe, 1994. He had a local fellow restore it with him, and they got it all fixed up in time for the local fair that year, and I actually have a picture of the original owner standing beside it right after it was restored.
Oh nice.
Which was really cool to have. So my dad had this until his passing earlier this year, and then it had suffered some sun-baked damage from the intensity of the sun over the years, sitting outside. So I had it taken to a place locally, and they scrubbed it down, and it gleams just as you see it now, and I couldn't be happier.
This is fabulous. I hope when you see this on the video, you see the shine. This looks like it was painted in a modern 2K automotive paint. I can't get over the quality, but I guess at that point in time they were actually laying down tons of paint. I mean, there's no orange peel. No, it's fabulous.
No, it's a beautiful tractor. So it's one size smaller than the last tractor, my first tractor, and it's just meant to be a little. I believe it was a little 2-furrow plow that it would trail behind it.
Okay.
Or you could put scufflers underneath. I know when he bought it, the older man that had it originally had a little plow on the back, and he would keep his little garden plowed with it. And a lot of people used to plow their neighbors' gardens and just go up and down through the town. And and so it's a unique tractor for sure.
So again, the same idea, the narrow positioning of the front wheels. This is in between the rows of crops, and then the width of the back tires would allow a row on each side, and there you go.
That's right, and the back tires actually slid in and out on the axle, so you could widen, same with this one.
Oh,
so you could widen or narrow up the distance between. And so it's a very versatile tractor. Sometimes they would get a little light in the front end, so this has optional wheel weights over the front rim, same as my other one.
Okay.
And they're kind of a hard thing to find. My dad did something neat back in the day. He had a couple of these plates made because you're always looking to push. If you're trying to back a wagon into the barn, you're cranking your head around and trying to back it and turn and everything, and not a good line of sight going up a gangway. And so what he did was he put this on, so you could put the hitch on here and you could push it forward and see exactly what you're doing.
Very good.
And without hurting anything.
So the back tires on either of these tractors, you have weights on them as well right now, correct?
Correct, yeah. All of these tractors here have wheel weights, which were an option.
So for the uneducated or uninitiated to this world, it's kind of tough to imagine how you've got an engine sitting here, how you could possibly get light in the front end, but it has more to do with what you'd be dragging behind.
If you're pulling something like a plow in the back, that adds a lot of weight, especially if it hits a rock or a root or something, and you don't want the front end coming up. So it was very important to keep it down.
And just if you happen to know, I'm sure you do, what sort of weight are we talking about there?
On the wheel weights?
Yeah.
The wheel weights, those aren't very much. Those are about 75 pounds, I think, each.
Okay, okay.
The ones on the back of this and that are about 150 pounds, I believe, each.
Okay, so that's significant.
It's enough when you're trying to lift them on, line up the bolts.
Yeah.
And not scratch the paint. Yeah.
So this one again, in terms of engine, like that, a 4-cylinder?
Still a 4-cylinder gas.
Gas, okay.
Yeah.
And having a look at this, I mean, we've got, I'm assuming magneto?
These have distributors.
Okay, so it's conventional
with external coil.
Okay.
Same with this one. And that one, in fact. But some of the earlier ones did have magnetos. Magnetos are a little more temperamental sometimes to fix, but they were nice because you could crank start. You didn't have to have a battery.
Right. Yeah.
And you could go all day with not worrying about a battery, but they did have their downsides too.
Of course, of course. So technologically speaking, this is the right direction
It's
to
the
go
right
in.
direction.
And I can see, just like the larger, the big brother there, you've got a spring seat with a hydraulic shock absorber.
That's right. It's a very comfortable drive with the padded seat too.
I bet. Now, did you restore the seat, or was that salvageable?
The seat, my dad put that on when he restored the tractor in the 90s, and it cleaned up so well when we had this redone.
Yep.
It looked a little bit like I thought I might have to replace it, but it cleaned up very nicely.
I think it says a lot about what good detailers can do when they have
amazing.
time.
They did this in one day. I dropped it off at 8 in the morning, picked it up at 4:30, and it was the night and day difference that you see now.
Incredible. And I bet you they had a good time working on it, because I can't imagine they get to do something like this every single day.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's
cool.
phenomenal. I think we're pretty good, in shot.
Yeah.
We'll leave this in right now. This is the technical stuff at Kurtzky's Garage. Jeff, tell us about this. What is an Oliver standard?
So this Oliver Corporation made tractors. They were affiliated in later years with Cockshut, which was another manufacturer widely known. This tractor belonged to my grandfather. Well, I should tell the whole story, which is very quick. But my grandpa in 1952 bought a brand new Oliver 77 in downtown Barrie. And with my uncle, who was a little boy at the time, sitting on the fender, drove it all the way from downtown Barrie out to Guthrie, where his farm was. And he had it from 52 until he sold his farm in 72 and decided to retire. Retirement didn't sit well, and within 3 years, he needed another farm and to go back to farming. And he couldn't find his tractor, so my uncle found this in Schaumburg, just south of Barrie. And it was running I believe it was running a sawmill off the pulley, the belt pulley.
Okay.
And so it was sitting, just doing that, and he brought it home, and my grandpa used it, and this is the one I remember from the late 70s until Grandpa died in the early 90s. He would use this. And another little aside, this is the tractor that he once cranked while I was watching, and this big 6-cylinder engine kicked back and broke his arm. And he was in his early 80s at that point. But this has a very big, it's got a huge block in this engine.
Yep.
And so this is a very big engine, but it purrs like a kitten, the 6-cylinder gas motor. And they made different model sizes. There was the 60, so initially there was the 60, 70, and 80, and they were in size like that. And then when they were redesigning, they made some upgrades. They made the 66, 77, 88 was the next generation.
Okay.
And then the next generation after this was the Super 66, Super 77, and Super 88. So this one is a 1949 standard 77. Standard refers to the front end being a standard front end, as opposed to a row crop like this one. And it was available in that configuration. You could buy a row crop, but this would say row crop. And then the back tires were tall and narrow like these other ones. And so a lot of farmers would take these side panels off because they would make the engine get too hot, or for serviceability, they were just in the way.
Sure.
And so they would just take them off and put them in the barn or in the fence row. And a lot of these side panels just got lost to time. And so I'm fortunate that these always were either on the tractor or in the shed. And so when I restored it, I was able to put it all back together.
That's phenomenal. Now, I can't imagine if it was Oliver Standard or if it was, the International Harvester. They weren't building their own engines, were they?
Do you know what? I don't think so. These are Continental engines.
I was going to ask if it was a Continental.
And I can't answer that about the Farmalls right now. I have to think about it.
Because I remember from my brief time in the lift truck industry, yeah, that's a tough industry. Plastics is better, let me tell you. Continental was certainly used in the Clark product, and the Continental, I think, even made its way into marine applications.
Did it? Yeah. And
there were some names, but yeah, turning a 6-cylinder by hand, that would be risky business.
It's risky business. Grandpa knew to keep his thumb on the inside. Not to have it looped over the crank, because if it kicked back, it would bust your finger, your thumb. But he had it this way, and when it kicked back, it got his arm in such a fashion that, well, he was 80 at the time, or 81.
Yeah, yeah.
And the interesting thing also about this is you'll notice it says Goodison.
Yes.
And Goodison, as indicated by the sticker, were the distributors when it came into Canada. These were made in Charles City in, I don't know if that's Illinois or Idaho.
Okay.
Down in the States anyway.
Okay.
But they were imported to Sarnia and Toronto, and Goodison was the distributor, so it always had the Goodison on it, and I was fortunate to find an original sticker to put back on it.
So that's okay. Let's talk about, just very briefly, some of these things like stickers and parts. How do you get parts for these? Are we into eBay stuff with people hoarding things and charging exorbitant prices, or?
No, that's fortunate. There's a real market for this stuff still.
Okay.
And there's a reproduction company called Steiner in Michigan that source almost every part you could need.
Oh, wow.
And then there are other ones around that you can get other things from. So you can still get the original style sticker, and you can get them either like this, or you can get them in vinyl cut where each letter is individual.
Oh, wow.
Which is really nice to have.
Sure.
They're a little more expensive. You can still get the muffler. The muffler, this is just a straight pipe.
Right.
But the muffler is about this big, and it sits right underneath the hood. And you can still buy that muffler, reproduction exact to spec from Steiner. So it's really cool.
So do you have any idea, and I know this may be a little bit of an obscure thing, but how many of these might be left in serviceable condition?
I really couldn't tell you, but I'll tell you, when I go to shows, it's rare to see an Oliver 77 standard.
Okay.
Nowadays, you see a ton of Farmall H's, C's. To see a 77, especially in a condition like this, is getting harder and harder. Back when I was young, there were a lot more of them around, but the passion of the people that had them, they were in their later years when I was young. Not all the kids are excited to take over a hobby. Things get sold, parted out. Yeah. And so I'm glad to be able to carry on the family tractor there. And
let's hope for anyone watching this, maybe this will help somebody out there or some buddies out there catch the bug and keep these machines, keep them around, keep them not necessarily earning the keep. We don't want to abuse these things, but to at least have some fun with them and keep them going. They're perfectly serviceable machines. And when I'm tinkering with cars, I hope that's one thing that I could sort of impart, that if you care about these things, you can keep them running. Now, financially, when you're dealing with old Mercedes, it can be a little stupid, but still, you can keep these things running if you have some care and respect for them. So I think this is fantastic. You've got, we could spend all night talking about each one. But that is just awesome. Jeff, I can't thank you enough for your time.
It's been a pleasure.
That's
Kurt.
fantastic.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. All right, that's it for the away episode of Kurtzky's Garage at Jeff's Tractor Garage. Stay tuned. We have more great stuff coming up. We'll get more into the Mercedes 300 SEL project car, and I also have to replace a front suspension hydraulic accumulator on the SL 500 before the front end just drops. It's a never-ending thing with that car, but I like things that are needy, obviously. So there you go. Take care, be good, and we'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.